So, how do you guys feel about the space that you've been given to study in?
It's really tiny.
It's a bit small.
The space is quite small.
It's limited. The space to me is inadequate.
The problem with it is that we have to share with music students.
It's not a big enough space to share.
First of all, we shouldn't even be sharing a space.
I think it's not enough for the theater arts students and the musicians and the dancers to some extent.
Which you feel is more significant with dance, really dance?
It's not well built.
The division is split up in 3, which means that we have to share it and we don't get a lot of time in it.
I feel bad. I mean, like, everybody gets to be at ACC in a way, we get to be at NCF, like outsiders.
The performing hall is very disgusting, if I be honest.
And they don't keep it clean.
Cleanliness of the environment. I'm really worried about.
The rats, they got rats here.
We need space to lie down and stretch out and everything, and most of the times the space is not clean.
Oh my god, let me start on the bathroom. There is one bathroom for our 2 departments. It is disgusting. I have had enough. I have said all I have to say.
So we moved up here, and initially there was an associate degree in performing arts, which later expanded into music, theater, and dance. And it started with 10 music students, 4 theater and 4 dance. But it's expanded a lot since then. It's grown substantially.
So from the inception, the program just could never fit. 3 disciplines sharing one studio is impossible, so dance has never been here. We were the last program to actually start, and so by default, we had to find another space because there just wasn't a space. The only time that we utilize the performing arts halls is for showcases and exams at the end of the semester.
When I came here in '97, the concept at the time, so I was told that the space was supposed to be possibly 3 or 4 times larger than it currently is. That is what I was told. I'm not sure if that is true. When the theater arts program started, there were only like four students in the theater arts program. There was not a dance program, and music was just 10. So we're talking 14 students, which are easily housed and easily accommodated in the performing hall in its current size.
There's a serious issue with space because we've grown from 1997 having 4 or 5 students in full-time program till now where we've got just the first years alone is 14 students in theater. Second years we've got I think 17 or 18 in theater, and then we have some students that are coming back and doing a 3rd year. So you're talking about theater alone potentially having 40 students as opposed to 4 in 1997.
What has not happened over the years is that we have not grown either in terms of our human resources, in terms of our full-time staff, and we've not grown in terms of our physical resources. We've grown in terms of the number of students that we put in space, but we've not grown in terms of facilities.
We've been up here for 20 years, and the facilities haven't changed, and they need to be radically expanded. They were insufficient when we moved in. There was never any soundproofing, so we've had an ongoing battle with the neighbors in terms of the sound level. And I think that there has not been a real understanding of how a school of visual and performing arts functions. Internationally, music students would have access to practice rooms 24 hours a day. And particularly in a country where we have a lot of students who are lugging big instruments back and forth on the bus, who may live in conditions where it's difficult for them to practice at home, it's really important that we offer these kinds of facilities. We need an improved and expanded infrastructure.
We only have the 2 bathrooms, one male, one female.
One female toilet and one male toilet. That's 100 students using 2 toilets.
We don't have enough practice rooms. They're not soundproof. Theater demands more time in terms of rehearsal than music does. We don't have enough practice rooms, so students practicing on the balconies, on the lawn will interrupt or disturb theater classes that are going on at the time. So because we don't have facilities, there are going to be those conflicts. What I've impressed on the music students is that is the reality. So therefore, you need to work around the reality.
Fortunately, Roger and I work well together, and so we're able to negotiate the use of the space for things like final exams and whatnot. So we don't have any conflict in terms of our own department's administration. But we've had to be innovative. We've had to find ways of, obviously between music and theater, kind of working around our schedules. So every semester we pretty much kind of block ourselves into specific spaces in the timetable. Maybe if we were not so innovative, we might have had a new space 10, 15 years ago,
Given the lack of physical infrastructure and given the lack of resources, with such a highly dedicated body of staff, we continue to produce great results, which everybody sees at Portfolio. The problem with that is that people can make the argument that, you're able to function under those current conditions, so it can't be as bad as you're really saying. Nevertheless, it's not something that can continue indefinitely. At some point, we're going to hit this kind of critical point where we cannot continue to function. So, for example, we had to shut down the hall for 3 days because of the rat infestation.
And that is a management issue. The maintenance we have not, throughout the college, as I said, it's not just a performing arts problem, it's a problem throughout the college because the maintenance department has not grown. What we really do need is just to have someone who is assigned to the performing hall.
The space is inadequate. I don't think that at this point, to be honest, I don't know that there are any measures that we can put in place anymore. I don't think we can put any more measures in place. I think we've exhausted all of our measures, and it's time for the performing arts department to be properly housed in a space that is adequate for all 3 disciplines.
Ideally, it would be lovely to have 2 studio spaces, studio for classes, but and a performing arts hall that's bigger, that can actually see people, that's indoors, that's enclosed, that you can have lighting during the day and not have to wait till the sun sets so that you can actually see what you're doing. So it would be nice to have that ideally.
I think we do need a multi-story complex that is complete with properly soundproof practice rooms, for the musicians, and not just soundproofing the existing rooms, but actually having large enough practice rooms for them. Because some of the rooms that they're practicing in are far too small for the kinds of practice they're doing. It's not like a one-man practice. They're jamming up there with a band in a small 4x4 room. Not adequate. We definitely would need to have the current space upgraded. I think that it should be what we call in the industry a black box theater, which is good for studio space, workshop space, and then you can also make it a performance space. So it's a lot more versatile than what we have now. And of course, one of the biggest things that I think every tutor will agree with is that we need to have adequate equipment that belongs to the department.
The real sad thing is, where would we be now if we did have the infrastructure that we needed? If we did have those studios, if we did have those resources, if we were able to expand, because it's the physical infrastructure that is holding us back from offering an expanded bachelor's program in music and theater and dance. Think of the kinds of graduates that we could be producing if we could have expanded in that way. But, you know, there is no doubt that our students have outgrown that space.